Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it Wednesdays here. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. There's a decapitated little redhead on my desk here. The mood of Husker Nation represented well here with the Casey Rogers news. Hope you're doing all right. We'll get to it. We'll spend time on it. Mike Babcock from Hail Varsity in 15 minutes. Steve Marek of HailVarsity.com and magazine reporting the Casey Rogers news. So we'll roll our sleeves up and try and speculate as to why a guy you were banking on is now in the portal for Nebraska. Numbers to join, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Those are the numbers. Can email us, chris@hailvarsity.com. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, Chris Schmidt, or at Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel. So we were hoping to land Snoop Dogg today. Go ahead and laugh out loud. I had that working, and maybe we'll get a surprise between now and 6. This is not a false promise. We were working on it. We'll see. As Snoop is in town tonight, we can keep knocking on wood, but it is 4:20, and if Snoop's chilling, maybe he's just prepping for the show tonight. So hope you get to PBA and enjoy that if you're a Snoop fan, and all is good there. So in hour 2, Austin Allen going to be with us, tight end standout for Nebraska, and is headed off to the NFL. His draft prospects pretty high. I mean, he could be a third-round guy, or a third-day guy, I should say, or maybe an undrafted free agent. Maybe somebody loves him and he goes earlier, but we'll spend time with Austin Allen and just where he's at. Really special tight end for the Big Red last year. So Casey Rogers entering in the portal, big old number 99. Make it number 98, forgive me. Ty Robinson's number 99, but the flowing locks. And, last time we talked with Casey was during the season, and Casey did everything in his power as he got his leg dinged up last year and wasn't able to go early on in the season, and then came back and gave it all he could. And Casey Rogers is a guy that only played about 140 snaps due to that early season injury a season ago. Snaps, nearly double that in 2020 during the COVID season. But Rogers with 23 games, 1 start, and a guy that in limited time, 17 tackles, almost a half a sack in 7 games. Casey Rogers was gold for a pressure, a hurry, penetration, and making a play. He made a big play in a crucial down for that defense whenever he was in. And it was limited snaps because, again, of the injury. And this absolutely hurts. It hurts because he's good. It hurts because he's good. It hurts because he's a guy that's put, team above self, really busting it to get back from injury. And the obvious take is it hurts because of depth. I mean, the plan was to have Casey Rogers and Ty Robinson. If you're Nebraska, you have this question mark, is the defense going to take a step back? Well, it doesn't help. And it's not that Ty Robinson and Garrett Nelson and Caleb Tanner can't elevate their game, but if you have to go more of an even man front, what do you got in the middle? Is Polar Bear ready for bigger snaps? Is Jalen Weaver ready for more snaps, mean, those guys have combined for maybe less than 10 in their career when we talk about Weaver, Derek Blacken, and Roquan Buckley. And you had, I think, less than 20 last season played by Nash. You can't microwave lines of scrimmage. You can't fast forward. Mosai Newsom, nice off the edge, right? But you live and die on the interior. In the Big Ten, against Wisconsin, against Minnesota, against Iowa, specifically in your own division. And, oh, yeah, the pig farmer's running the football downhill with Illinois. He's going to load up 85 offensive linemen and just play bumper cars. So you need to be thick, stout, and deep to survive in the Big Ten West, and then we can talk about Ohio State and Michigan. But, Elijah, this is brutal news. I don't have a why, and there's some thoughts as to let's throw some reasons why you would leave as you're about ready to graduate with 2 years of eligibility. Maybe you want to change the scenery. Maybe you don't like the way the defense is shifting to your fit for what you were recruited for. You lost Coach Tuioti to Oregon, but you were recruited by Coach Dawson to get here, right? I mean, Dawson recruited you. Is it an NIL thing where maybe a couple of guys they may have on the hook for NIL? You hear about O'Shawn Mathis, right? He's the prized get in the portal. Nebraska needs to go get another portal guy as well on the interior. This was before today's news. And maybe that rubs a guy like Casey Rogers wrong because he has missed time. And it's not been through lack of effort. He's done everything in his power to get on the field, and he's played well. He's been really good on the field when he's been able to go. Does he end up at Oregon? Does he end up at a lower level? Does he just say, forget it, man, I'm graduating, my leg's jacked, I'm done with football, I've tried, and I'm not the same? I'm just throwing out your multiple choices as to why here and now, but it's brutal news for Nebraska. It makes it imperative to go find someone beyond serviceable in the portal that has some football experience for the interior next to Ty Robinson, or be able to somehow, some way fast track and just get over and above from some really young guys. It's not that it can't be done with the youth movement, but it's a really hard ask to win and be as good as you want to be with youth.
I mean, and just to be clear here, for all we know, Casey Rogers could have left this spring because he saw the wind this spring and decided, you know what, I don't want to deal with this Nebraska weather anymore. We don't have any inside information.
He's an upstate New York guy. Wind doesn't bother him.
I mean, there's a multitude of factors that could be at play here. Maybe he wants one last year of football closer to his family up in upstate New York, as you said, and wants to transfer back somewhere closer to home, let his family see him play.
Maybe he misses his old position coach.
Yeah, maybe. I
don't know.
Maybe he wants to give it a go at lacrosse. We know that he was a lacrosse guy coming out of high school and before he decided to change his mind and go play some football. Could it be following Tuioti to Oregon? Quite possibly. Could he understand maybe his knee isn't the same as it was pre-injury, and we know how hard he had to battle back. Maybe he's just saying, I don't know how well my knee's going to hold up in a power conference like the Big Ten. I'm going to go transfer down to a slightly lower level and make sure I get in a year of playtime here with my last season of eligibility, as opposed to potentially re-injuring the knee and being sitting on the bench the entire year for my senior year. We don't know what could be at play here. All I know is this is a big blow for Nebraska's defensive front. That front seven is now thin at all positions, pretty much. All positions along the defensive line, those interior linebackers. We still don't know what Nebraska has at nickel, who's going to be the guy. Probably Isaac Gifford, but we're still not sure. Nebraska is just thin at every single position in that front seven.
Listen, Ben Stilley gone. You have D-Boogie gone. You have DeAndre gone. Jordan Riley gone. Those are all guys that have logged some snaps for you. DeAndre and Damian both could have come back. We'll see how their future holds with NFL potential. Jordan Riley transferred out, and you fought to get him in with his skill set and athleticism. Brutal news. Nebraska down to just nine scholarship linemen for the fall, and they've combined for 11 starts and 43 total tackles in reserve roles. There's Ty Robinson that did the 400 challenge this spring with 400 plus reps. You better keep him in bubble wrap and keep him take his phone.
Of those 11,
you don't need any more departures.
Of those 11 starts from those 9 guys, are all 11 of them from Ty Robinson?
Robinson's excluded from.
Okay, Robinson's excluded.
Okay, well, excuse me. 9 scholarship linemen. They've combined for 11 starts. It's probably Ty.
Ty and Garrett?
Casey's had 1.
Yeah, okay.
We're talking interior lineman. Casey's had 1 start in his career, 19 games.
Wow. So then 10 from Ty. And my initial thought when I saw this news was, maybe this means that O'Shawn Mathis is a silent commitment to Nebraska.
He's not interior,
though. But it's not a like-for-like swap. It just, of all the candidates for transferring this spring, I don't think Casey Rogers was even crossed my mind once. He was a guy that I was just penciling in almost with Sharpie, saying this guy's going to be a guy who's going to get significant playing time next season.
No, I mean it was going to be Robinson and Rogers on the interior, and go to town, and go make some plays, and feedback on social media is like bombshell. What the heck happened? So we'll see how Nebraska responds, reacts, and how they fast track, right? Maybe some of you are in a different boat. Maybe some of you aren't surprised. Maybe some of you just kind of realize that, this is it in college football, and if Adrian Martinez can move on from Nebraska, you sure as heck can have a Casey Rogers move on. Now, the team mentality has got to be next man up. That's got to be what Dawson's talking about. And I know he's been on the road. He was to see Maverick Noonan earlier this week. But I just don't get I'm not in the room. Coach Dawson connected enough to get Rogers here. And I know that Tuioti was coaching him for the majority of the career that Rogers had, and then when T moves on, I don't know. It's just not good. So Nebraska needs to go shopping, Elijah.
You can say that again.
Numbers to get in can react to Nebraska's news here with Casey Rogers in the portal. 466-3776, 466-3776, 825-5865. Now, when we talk about Nebraska's defensive line going from a 3-4 to more of an even front, I'm okay with that. And you look at, who are your candidates once Daniels moved on. It's Nash, and you've also seen Robinson play in the middle as well. That's a tough ask in the Big Ten. And then you get to depth and stats and just starts. And you got to be old and stay old, right? And, you go back to February 28th. Coach Dawson talking about about Rogers. He wasn't practicing during the spring, but was still there learning and listening. And this is a quote from Steve Marick's story on ALVarsity.com. The good thing about Casey is he's super outgoing with his personality. It's easy for him to interact with guys. It's easy for him to stay engaged. The trick for him, don't get bored. You have to be there at practice, and it's not going to be as fun. We've been there. You're not coaching or playing. Those practices tend to seem like they take a lot longer compared to when you're playing or coaching. They go by too fast. But the big part for him is to stay focused, gain some mental reps, watch somebody else make mistakes, and then make sure he doesn't repeat them when he comes back in. So what this means for Nebraska, an expected starter on the D-line next to Robinson, gone. Now, we don't have a destination. Is there some way to, if you're Nebraska, to get in contact with Rogers and make sure he doesn't stay in the portal? Just because you enter the portal, the player has the option to return to the program. You had He had Payne last year in December, enter the portal, put his name in, came back, and then ended up at Virginia Tech. So there are options. You just don't have proven options. Colton Feast, can't leave him out. He's been mentioned as a guy that's had a pretty good spring. Mm-hmm. So you have a body, but you don't have...
I mean, it's not experience,
you don't have waves of guys you can just throw in. Mm-hmm. You don't. So it's pretty tough for the Big Red at the moment. We'll dive into some baseball thoughts with Mike Babcock. We'll get his reaction to Casey Rogers in the portal. And we'll spend some time talking golf with Shuey, Mike Schuhart on deck. And yes, Austin Allen with us. NFL draft is 1 week from tomorrow. And who's the first Husker to hear their name? There's a lot of candidates. Day 2 or day 3 guys. What's the feedback been like for Austin Allen with different interviews? And he's been busy with a number of NFL teams. He's working out. And he is all excited about his next chapter, trying to be a Sunday guy. Good to be with you on a Wednesday. It's Hail Varsity Radio. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. You can email the show, chris@hailvarsity.com. Give us a follow at Schmidt_radio, at Herbal Essence. Mike Babcock on the way. Hello, listener. Hey, it's Chris Schmidt with Hail Varsity Radio, and I wanted to let you know about a special deal just for listeners of the Hail Varsity Radio Show podcast. We're offering $10 off the annual subscription price of $29.99. That means that you, for less than $20, can get everything we do. 10 issues of our monthly magazine, our annual football yearbook, and all the premium content we produce at HailVarsity.com. Just go to HailVarsity.com/subscribe and enter in the promo code GBR for $10 off a full year of Hail Varsity. That's HailVarsity.com/subscribe, promo code GBR.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Thanks for spending time. Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, as we welcome in historian, author, Hall of Famer with Hail Varsity, Mike Babcock with us at MD Babs on Twitter. Babbers, some crazy news with Casey Rogers in the portal, and your reaction to what came down here about an hour and a half ago.
Geez, I was shocked. He was one of those guys that I thought when he got healthy, he was going to be a key factor in the defensive line, and no way would I have imagined that he would put his name in the transfer portal. I mean, there's no great insight there, but I think that's pretty much what everybody would say. I don't understand it, but that's the nature of the game that that's the way things are now. You have to deal with those kinds of things, but I'm sure that it's not the only school that's had a player go into the transfer portal, and it's been a shock, but certainly is a shock to me.
Babbers, you're right on it, and I go back to something Kaz told us yesterday, and I don't know this to be true. I just know that it's a new issue or potential issue, and the amount of NIL zeros floating around out there, right? And you have NIL and what are new guys potentially getting versus current guys. And I'm not saying that's an issue or a reason, but it may be a reason at other schools. It could be a reason, period. And that's something that, as I think back to our chat with him yesterday, kind of, struck with me. We both think that Nebraska, wants to go to the portal to add some experienced depth. And, O'Shawn Mathis, the name off the edge, but it sounded like, too, Babbers, that Nebraska was looking at maybe trying to add somebody also on the interior with more experience than the current guys they have.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of a two-part thing here, but I felt from the beginning that the NIL, potential for the NIL to disrupt team unity would be a significant factor at some point. because guys are looking at it and saying, the guy I'm playing next to, he's making all this money on NIL, and I'm not making anything, or I'm making very little compared to what he's making. How do you resolve that issue and have the kind of team unity that's necessary to be successful? And I know that in the professional sports it's that way, but it's a little bit different situation. And professional sports have salary caps. Right now, we don't have that. We don't have that in NIL and collegiate athletics. There's no cap on it, and so I think that can be disruptive. Now, whether that has anything to do with Casey Rogers, I don't know.
Right.
But it's part of the change. Part of the, now you hear the coaches talking about free agency. College coaches are talking about free agency. Guys that are free agents, and Nebraska's looking at some of those, as you pointed out. And how does that reflect on, or how do those who are already on the team, how do they respond? It's got to be a factor in recruiting. We've talked about that, but how do you convince a guy like, Richard Torres is coming here as a quarterback recruit, and he looks at it and sees that you get a couple of quarterbacks out of the transfer portal, Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy, and it looks like Thompson's going to be the guy, and looks like Purdy's going to be in the competition to be the number one backup with Logan Smothers, about whom we heard big things. When he was backing up Martinez. So, maybe it's I just don't think that these things apply to Casey Rogers, but I think that it's what you have to consider in this day and age now with NIL and transfer portal. And I think you made a good point, though, with Casey. I mean, maybe the injury thing has gotten to the point where it's enough of a consideration for him that he wants to look at maybe getting closer to home, or maybe there's the relationship between player and coach, like you said, Tuioti. Maybe that is a factor there. There are just so many things, so many questions that it poses. And again, your mouth is wide open because you're shocked and you're trying to process, why did he decide to do that? And then you add to it, what you also pointed out is he could withdraw his name if things don't go the way he wants them to go. So it's a very complicated thing, and I think we're going to see more of this kind of thing until somebody figures out a way to get some kind of check on it. I mean, there got to be some parameters that got to be set in there, I think. Otherwise, it's going to be head knockers all the time.
Mike Babcock's with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Mike, just taking this news at face value, Casey Rogers into the transfer portal, let's discount any potential reason for or any potential incoming transfers. This takes your concern level for Nebraska's front seven from where to where. You can use whatever scale you like, whether it be scale 1 to 10, from slight to severe, whatever you want to do. Where does this take your concern level?
Well, I was a little bit uncertain before I found this out because, the guys that Nebraska lost were significant contributors, good players, and, we're looking at potential to some degree of guys that are moving in there, and that's a key thing on defense. How you play up front is going to affect, the linebacking play, the secondary play, the whole thing. It's just like offense. The offensive line, that's where it starts, and that's where it starts on defense. So it adds to the uncertainty in my mind because I had uncertainty anyway because of the guys that are gone.
Mike, let's shift gears and let's talk about O'Shawn Mathis for a moment. The portal get out there for Nebraska and many other schools because of what he's proven at TCU in the Big 12. And when it comes to his leverage of where he ends up, I mean, he has options anyway. Ole Miss, Penn State, USC, Texas, that's, in his hometown. And then, of course, the red carpet rolled out for him by Nebraska. Fair to say that his leverage on Nebraska has jumped tenfold here with the Rodgers news?
Well, yeah, he's one of those guys, I think, that had that leverage going into things, and certainly, they're probably, in his mind, there are probably more factors than just, can I step in? I mean, he may have felt like he might have looked at it as, I can step in anyway. I've got the ability to do that. Or, they wouldn't be interested in me if they think that I can step in right away. So I don't know how that changes things. Maybe it just kind of underscores the attitude. But I think that players in the transfer portal, by and large, are looking at situations where, and the coaches even say this, we're not bringing him in from the transfer portal to have him sit on the bench. Mm-hmm. And so maybe this just underlines it for him. But I think that his talent is such that he probably isn't of a mindset. Any of these places that he's looking at are opportunities to step in and be a factor right away.
Mike, who are some guys that you think can try and fill the void? We know Nash is a guy, and Colton Feast are two guys that got plenty of time this spring. But how tough of an ask? I mean, in your time covering Nebraska, who are some young defensive linemen that were able to come in and thrive pretty well? It's not very common in college football, let alone in Nebraska. You need time to get watered and grow.
Well, yeah, it's always good to have that experience regardless of where you're playing, regardless of position. So, from that standpoint, it's no different. You've got some young guys, you got some redshirt freshmen that'll have an opportunity to be in there, and I think that Nash is probably a guy that's going to have to step up. I mean, you expect him to, and you mentioned Feist and
you've got you got Black and Buckley, and then Weaver.
Got Tate, veteran who's had injury problems. If he could stay healthy, I think he's probably a guy that could fit in there. Yeah, Buckley, I think. Weaver, I think. It just you're going to have to see how. Weaver's a huge guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like 6'8" and 320 or something. Mm-hmm. These guys are going to have an opportunity, but again, like you said, without experience, it's going to be. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things, and that's the thing that you don't want from your guys up front, because they're so important to what you want to accomplish. And you've got experienced linebackers. You've got Garrett Nelson is a proven guy that can pressure the quarterback. But you got to have those guys up front to get it done, and it's going to be some young guys that are going to fill in. I mean, you got Robinson, and you got Nash, and let's see where the young guys can. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I think Feist probably be a factor in there too.
Babbers, about a minute. What are you expecting from Nebraska baseball tonight?
Well, I hope a good effort. I thought it was, the BYU thing started off really well from a pitching standpoint with a great effort by Cody Frank. He's the Big Ten pitcher of the week. 6 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 1 hit. That was great. And then the series just, you lose 1-run games. You can't quite get it done. So I hope they get things back on track before they play Indiana this weekend in the Big Ten and get some Big Ten wins. Still got an opportunity, but it's starting to fade now because your non-conference there's no success there. So I hope that Nebraska can. And I was a little bit surprised. I think as McCarville is scheduled to start. I think. which surprised me. Midweek game.
We'll see how it goes for the Big Red tonight.
Let's hope those Husker batters are smoking the baseball in honor of 420 tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Elijah, for that.
Yeah, thanks for putting that in there.
Yeah, we're going to end it on a positive note. Babbers, enjoy your Wednesday. Thanks for kicking this around with us, bud.
Thanks for having me, guys. Be safe.
You too. Mike Babcock with us.
Hello, listener. This is Brandon Vogel, managing editor of Hail Varsity, and I wanted to let you know about a special deal just for listeners of the Hail Varsity Radio Show podcast. We're offering $10 off the annual subscription price of $29.99. That means that you, for less than $20, can get everything we produce, 10 issues of our monthly magazine, our annual football yearbook, and all of the premium content we produce at hailvarsity.com. Just go to hailvarsity.com/subscribe and enter the promo code GBR for $10 off a full year of Hail Varsity. That's hailvarsity.com/subscribe, promo code GBR.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Big thanks to Mike Babcock. Austin Allen in 20 minutes. We're going to head out to Wilderness Ridge. Say hi to Mike Schuhart. Shuey. Man, we're going to get some warm weather. I can't do anything about the wind, but some golf possibility here around the corner. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Man, the sun just popped out. The flags aren't blowing sideways, so it's actually not bad out right now.
So are you putting for dough, brother?
No, not yet. I'm sitting in my office looking out my window, though, and I'm watching guys get ready to tee it off the first tee, so that's kind of nice.
Do you have a recording from Happy Gilmore, with the guy who drives the Volkswagen, when guys are teeing off, just to see how their concentration is?
Exactly. So every now and then we poke our head out there and see how good they're doing.
Mike Schuhart's with us. Shuey, let's spend a second here on the match. That news came out. Do you like the format where we've just got, some of the old guard of the NFL, Rodgers and Brady, against some of the young pups, Mahomes and Josh Allen? Are you going to miss the PGA element out in Vegas here in June?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the match was all started with golfers. Where'd the match begin? Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Now all of a sudden it's gone to other professional athletes playing the game of golf. So I don't know if I'm not much of a fan of it, but most of the time it's the commentary that goes along with it is what makes the event the event. So that's what makes it fun to watch and entertaining.
Ernie Johnson's solid, if not spectacular. He's incredible. So I'm glad TNT is going to have Ernie on it. But how about Barkley and how about Peyton Manning? I mean, do we need a 3-person booth for this thing?
I don't know. They make it entertaining. I mean, they always got something to say and jabs to throw out there. So that'll make it very entertaining. They always do. So it's fun. It's fun entertainment.
What did you think of Spieth on Easter Sunday?
Amazing. I mean, I didn't get to watch it much, but then I looked after the round was over and saw he was in a playoff, and I saw he won, and it's like, super happy because Jordan, in my opinion, is kind of like Tiger. When he's playing well, it makes the tour that much stronger. So it's good to see him, and it's fun to watch because it just shows you how talented the guy is. Obviously he's going through a massive swing change if you kind of watch his action, which looks a little funky right now, and for him to be able to still compete at that level, going through a swing change for golfers out there that have taken lessons and trying to make swing changes and they know how difficult it is and be able to then play at that level. So it's fun watching him have success with it. Shows that, you make some changes and you keep doing the things you're doing and it can pay off, and it's fun to see it pay off.
Mike Schuhart's with us, Wilderness Ridge Golf. Shuey, you teach, and your rep as a teacher is above reproach. I mean, folks want to go learn from you, and that's been the case for a number of years. How do you go about your business working on someone's swing who's pretty good, someone swing who's real good, and someone who, if you had the heart, you'd tell them to stop playing golf?
Yeah, it's you have to interview with them, and you have to talk to them, and you have to find out what their goals are and what they're looking to achieve, and then you have to be very, at least with me anyway, I try to be very realistic in that. I mean,
I love that, and you're blunt honest too. I love it.
It's like, can you even achieve what your goals are? Maybe we need to reevaluate those goals and make some new ones. But, it's like, and timing has a lot to do with it, because I work with like high school players, this time of the year, the boys are playing high school golf. So it's like, they want to make some changes, or they feel like they need to make some changes. It's like probably not the best time to try to make changes right in the middle of your season. It's like there are tweaks that you can do or things you can add that will allow you to perform better and still be able to function at that level. Trying to make a wholesale change in their golf swing during the time that they're trying to compete, that is not good. And I'll tell them that. I said, this is not the right time to do it. I mean, there's a better time for us to delve into this, along this journey that you want to do, but now is not the right time. We can do this and it will help you. We can do this, it will help you. But, long term, if we do this, it will really help you. It will make you a lot better, but it's not the right time to do it. Timing has a lot to do with it. When's the right time to do it? That gives them time to work on it, gives them enough reps doing it, gets them comfortable. The physical part is probably the easiest part. Getting comfortable with it and confident with it is the more difficult, and there's a time that they are able to practice it, get out and kind of see how it works on the golf course, not under the most extreme, pressure, because it's always more difficult the more pressure you're under.
Mike Schuart's with us, Wilderness Ridge Golf, Hail Varsity Radio. Shuey, that's outstanding, and it is about timing. It's important for the player. Timing, man, it seems like just yesterday construction was going. We've got a couple of minutes left. I know memberships, folks want to be a member out at Wilderness. They're looking into that. But how are things shaping up, not only with the golf season, but also the aquatic center?
It's going fantastic. I just talked to Tammy, our membership director, just a few minutes ago, and she is going to sell our 150th, which is our capacity on our Challenge Course membership. So it'll be sold up tomorrow morning. She has an appointment to sell the last membership for that. Then they'll go on to a waiting list. And then our championship, which we call our Ridge membership, that's been going fantastic too. So, and they're going to start putting water into the pool, doing leak testing, they call it. So that's going to start next week. And then once that passes, which hopefully it'll all be done next week, then they'll start plastering the sides. And once the plaster's done, which doesn't take very long, then they're going to put water in it, and it'll be ready to go. So everything is very much on schedule and excited.
Man, that swim-up bar, the lazy river, dodging golf balls from the divot dogs. I mean, I can't wait for my summer between baseball games and radio shows.
And wait till you get to go down on the triple loop slide, man. I can't wait to see you come shooting out of the end of that.
Wait, Schmidt, you saying you're going to be dodging balls from the divot dogs? You're going to be dodging balls from you. Are you kidding me?
Well, right. Right. Well, Shuey's going to cut the water, man. It's going to be like Caddyshack 2. And I'm just going to be screaming in pain. Oh, sorry. A dry slide. I'm kidding. Well, Shuey, excited to see you, bud. We'll get out your neck of the woods soon, and we'll get caught up next Wednesday as always. But thanks for giving us a few minutes and jumping on, and so happy how progress is going. And, man, I love that talent course. I'm so excited for you guys to be hitting capacity.
I know. It's pretty fun, pretty exciting. So thanks for having me. Everybody stay safe.
Will do, bud. Take care. Mike Schuart with us, Wilderness Ridge Golf. And we'll wind down this first hour, 15 minutes away. Husker tight end off to the NFL, Austin Allen, with us to kick off hour 2. Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
He's in his 30s. but sounds like he was born with a stogie in one hand and a brew in the other.
Now, say my name.
It's Schmitty on Hail Varsity Radio.
I got the body of a taut, preteen Swedish boy.
Back with you, final segment here this first hour, Hail Varsity Radio. Reminder for you to subscribe to the podcast, Hail Varsity Radio, and you get 6 of them a week, and maybe you catch us live in Lincoln or Kearney, Hastings, Grand Island, or even Columbus, or just stream us wherever you are. But sometimes you need to get caught up, and easy to do so with the podcast. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Give us a rating, subscribe. Good, bad, or ugly. We'll take the feedback, and thank you for listening. Your chance to subscribe to it. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Get locked in with Hail Varsity Radio. So a reminder about buckling up. 1 of every 3 fatal crashes in Nebraska involves an alcohol-impaired driver. Why take chances if you drink? Don't drive. A message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. The news of the day, Casey Rogers is in the portal. Does he stay in the portal? And the question, why? Why head off to the portal? And some of you may be at home going, well, why the hell not? Right? You're coming off a 3-9 season. Why stick around if there's minimal help behind you, or you're playing hurt and they want to bring in somebody at my position? They do that anyway in recruiting, but the portal allows it to be here and now, where there's a potential for similar level of experience to go get somebody. And this is how things have gone to end the year for Nebraska on the defensive line. Ben Stille's graduated. DeAndre Thomas said, I'm good after graduation. D-Boogie off to the NFL draft, or at least put his name there. Jordan Riley is in the portal. Now you have Casey Rogers, and Ty Robinson's the last man standing right now. And then you got a slew of young guys who could be really good, may be really good. The question is, how soon can they be good? And that's the issue. And you don't want to live that life, man, in the Big Ten on the lines of scrimmage. We went through the schedule yesterday, talking a little bit per the 24/7 Sports Story on Trap Game. And ding, 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 if you had Illinois take a shot. But that's what's been deemed the Trap Game.
Well, and it makes, even more sense now with Nebraska losing even more help along that defensive line. And you're already in the side of the the side of the Big Ten that is more run dominant than the East. Both sides. The Big Ten is known as a running conference, but if either side of the Big Ten is more run dominant, it's the Big Ten West. You look at Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa all in the division.
And Minnesota.
And Minnesota, too, yeah.
They seem to lose a running back every year and find 2 or 3 guys behind now they got to kind of tool their offensive line, but they're downhill.
They got that one dude who's, 6'10", playing offense, 6'10", 340, something crazy.
He's done.
Oh, is he done?
Thankfully.
I thought he had 1 year left. Oh, thank God.
I think he's off the NFL. You may be right. We'll research that accuracy between now and our chat with Austin Allen, who had a monster game against Minnesota, monster game against Wisconsin, and has put up big-time tight end numbers in Lincoln. He is off to chase his dreams in the NFL. We'll sit down with Austin Allen next, the pride of Aurora, as Hour 2's on the way. It's Hail Varsity. We're presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Pardon the interruption, but I'd like to save you some money. Hey, it's Chris Schmidt with Hail Varsity, and I wanted to offer listeners of this podcast $10 off the price of an annual subscription. That means that you, for less than $20, can get everything we produce. 10 issues of our monthly magazine, our annual football yearbook, and all the premium content we produce at HailVarsity.com. Just go to HailVarsity.com/subscribe and enter in the promo code GBR for $10 off a full year of Hail Varsity. That's HailVarsity. HailVarsity.com/subscribe, promo code GBR.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Back into it. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. A week from tomorrow, the NFL Draft begins. You'll hear it on many of the Hail Varsity Network stations. We welcome in all Big Ten performer, the tight end, Austin Allen out of Aurora. Austin, what's going on, man? How are you?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on. It's a crazy time. It's cool to be a part of it all. It's hard to explain, but it's cool to be a part of this process, and Nebraska's putting me in a good position to be a part of it. So I'm grateful for it, and it's a unique time.
So take me back to when you started playing ball and your basketball skills, and of course that translating to the football field, making that decision to stick with football and go the football route versus basketball. I want to go back in time a little bit, and a lot of kids have to or decide to specialize. You were a multi-sport guy. Was that an easy call for you when it came to athletics?
Yeah, it was actually a weird time. Beginning of my junior year, I always thought I was going to play football or basketball in college because I was really tall, and I was actually about to walk off the field, and one of my teammates at the time said, "Hey, I'll play basketball if you play football." And I was like, "Okay." Little did I realize at the time that a lot of schools look for multi-sport athletes, and little did I realize, or the more I realize now, the more stuff that translates because I did two sports, like on the football field. Like I always use the analogy that in basketball, you always got to make a big body play on the post and box a guy out and make a play on the ball, whereas similar into football where if you're running a little hitch route, sometimes you gotta make a big body play on the middle linebacker, just box him out and go up and go get the ball. So I'm glad I did both. I'm glad my teammate talked me into staying out there, and I'm kind of regretting that I even had that thought in my mind of almost walking off the field.
Now, a few years ago when the Husker basketball team needed guys in the Big Ten tournament, did they come talk to you, or was that just Brant Banks and Noah Vedral? I mean, you being a basketball guy to start out with, did you at least throw your name in the hat?
Yeah, they actually reached out to me both years. They needed guys when they had the six guys going to the NIT. They called me and reached out, and they actually had a plane ticket ready for me and everything, and then they kept winning games, and so they just said they got a good vibe going on with their six right now, and they don't want to throw it off by bringing in a football guy, which I get. And then the year that Brant and Noah went, they reached out to me again and asked me if I could come join them, and then they didn't realize I had just had shoulder surgery, so I was kind of out of the mix on that one. So it would have been cool, Noah and I going to Indianapolis, but I mean, Brant had a good experience too.
They could have had a great vibe going, I guess is you could leave it. But no, well, who was the teammate? Who was the teammate that changed your mind?
His name is Todd Honus.
Okay.
Yep. He actually came to Nebraska for a little bit as a walk-on, and was part of the team for a couple of years down here before moving on. And he was a pretty good basketball player for us, but it was one of those things. It's not that I didn't love football. It's just I was already hearing from a lot of schools in basketball, and I always thought that should be the route I should take. And then it just worked out that I had a pretty good junior year in football, and then the offers started rolling in for football.
Well, recruiting-wise, I think you were a top 40 tight end in the country when it came to the ratings, and you came to Nebraska. Austin Allen with us. So, what does your day-to-day look like as you prep for next weekend?
Yeah, right now it's in the morning. I do my workouts. The university's still pretty good about letting me come in, use the facilities, use the weight room. So I get my workouts in and get home and make myself a meal and throw something in the crock pot for the dinner because crock pot meals are the easiest. And in the afternoon is usually when I got blocked off for interviews and meetings with agents and scouts and teams and whatnot. And then that night is kind of the time I got to myself. And sometimes we'll have more meetings with with agents and whatnot, going over some special team stuff or stuff that I expect to see and at the next level, and then repeat the process every day.
So what is the go-to in the crock pot?
I'm a big roast potatoes and carrots guy. I'll throw in a roast. A couple hours later, throw in the potatoes and carrots, and then 4 hours, 5 hours later, bon appetit.
So what's the feedback been like? What were some things you were proud and pleased with when it comes to Indy, and how did that open more doors for you with these different requests and interviews you're getting from different teams?
Yeah, I'm happy with the numbers that I put up in Indianapolis. I wish the 40 would have been a little bit faster, but it is what it is. The other numbers were great. I interviewed with pretty much all the teams at Indy informally, is what they call it. There's formal and informal, but all the teams pretty much for informal interviews. And Coach Beck has created, or he's taught me so much in my 4 years with him here that has allowed me to become a smart football player. And whether that be on the whiteboard or on the field, and that's what teams have noticed when they've been interviewing with me, is how smart and how quick I can pick up schemes and stuff on the field. I think that's something that kind of makes guys' eyes pop a little bit when they start interviewing with me, which is a good thing, and it's good for these guys, these tight end coaches that you're meeting with, to go back to their superiors, so to say, and say this guy's a smart football player, he's got the size, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So it's all out of my hands now, and it's up to whoever's going to give me a call.
Now, with the different styles of tight ends that there are currently in the NFL, are there any teams that you think you'd fit their scheme well? Any places where you like what their offense looks like and you'd like to see yourself in that system?
There's not necessarily a favorite. I mean, I feel like I'm a tight end that can get it done in the block game and in the pass game. So whether that be a team like Tennessee that's predominantly mid-zone, outside zone run game, or a team like Kansas City, they can throw it a lot. I feel like I can do both, and I don't have a preference where I go. Whoever's going to sign me and sign the check, I don't care. Football is football at the end of the day, and I love playing football. So whoever wants to take a chance on me, I'm looking to prove them right.
Austin Allen, few minutes with us, Hail Varsity Radio, NFL Draft around the corner. As you look at some of the things that you do well, you get separation, you have a wonderful catch radius, you go up in traffic, you're out running, and that's what has always kind of wowed me at when just covering you at Nebraska, was how you would get open in some big-time moments and make a lot of catches.
Sneaky agile.
Well, you'd shake the defender, and some of the catches you made along the sideline, man. I mean, the film isn't going to lie. On top of the motion and then the kickouts, you're blocking, so it's a good combination. You have what did you love most about Coach Becton, and take me through your growth kind of under him with how he taught and helped develop you.
Yeah, Coach Beck's he's a great coach, just because his ability to connect with players. Doesn't matter the background, doesn't matter where you're from or who you played for in the past, or if you're transferred, if you're walk-on, you're a scholarship. He's the same coach to you no matter what. That's what I respect about him, and I respect that he's had so many years of experience as a coach on all different angles of football: defense, offense, special teams, line, tight end, receiver. Like it doesn't matter. He's coached it, and that's what gives him another advantage in the coaching game, is being able to coach us with his viewpoints from all the other positions he's coached, which allows him to be an even better coach. And my growth under him is the coaching style that I like, and I would hope to see at the next level. It's somebody who's going to be hard on me, that's going to chew me out, that's going to give it to me straight right away. And then as you start to build trust with each other, as you start to figure things out, it becomes more of a conversation like professionals. And that's what I respected most about Coach Becton, is he handled everything like a professional. And I can only say good things about him. I don't have anything bad to say about Coach Beck. He's just a great coach, great guy, and heck of a football guru.
Is there a moment, or was it just a build with that trust? Because the last few years at Nebraska, there's been a lot of transition. Kids have had to get used to it, and there's been new faces in a lot of different meeting rooms. So when it comes to buy-in, Austin, is it, what he showed me works, or was it kind of that blind faith, okay, this is my new position group coach, and whatever he says goes? How did you approach that?
For him, it's just you don't get the harsh coaching the more you don't break his trust.
Gotcha.
The more stuff you do things in the football field the right way, the more stuff you do to not break his trust, the more it becomes a conversation, the more it becomes professional coaching. Not to say that harsh criticism isn't professional coaching, which it is. I'm just saying that was my style of how I like to learn right away. Him being hard on me, and then it becoming more of a conversation than more of a yelling. Because I feel like at some point, all young guys, all new guys need that type of style of coaching, is yelling and getting your butt ripped, so to say.
Austin, a thought with last season, and one thing that I look at the different draft write-ups on you, and to a write-up, your leadership is commended, but yet you had a year that was tough on the field from a team standpoint, and yet you and your teammates kept giving it hell every Saturday. How did last year's experience help you as a leader?
We obviously had our fair share of frustrating times at the University of Nebraska, and my kind of strong pushing point last year was when we kept losing by the same thing is what are you going to do differently to change that? If you come out and play this week with no effort, with no juice or no nothing, like, what does that say about you as a football player, as a man, and what does that say about your character? I think that was what motivated a lot of guys, is they don't want anybody to knock their character and knock who they are as a football player. So why not go out and give it your all, and why not compete at your best? Because God's given us a great gift and a great ability to play the game of football. Why not go out and glorify Him with everything, you know? And what does that say about your character if you don't do that? So that was kind of my talking points to the guys.
Austin, a thought with some of your other teammates, plans to just be with family, or some of you getting together for kind of a watch party, or how are you going to treat next weekend?
My uncle already offered up for us to get together at his house, and I kind of prefaced it. I was like, guys, like, there's a possibility I'm a day three, not even a drafted guy, and they said, we don't care where you go. It's just an excuse for our family to get together and spend some time together. And I said, that's, at the end of the day, that's what's most important to me. So I'm down to do that. So I'll probably go to my uncle's and get the fam together and just hang out and play some yard games until I got that call.
What's your yard game of choice? We talking lawn darts here? We talking bags, cornhole? What's the one you're going to?
You ever heard of Polish horseshoes?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that's my game of choice.
So you have exquisite touch when it comes to that top bar.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So are you bringing the crock pot with you?
Wherever I go, I'm sure they'll give me all the type of food I want, all the different styles.
I'm saying to your uncle. So are you bringing something, or since it's your draft party, do you just show up and eat?
I assume I'll just show up and eat. My mom's a pretty good cook, and all my aunts and my grandma, they're great cooks. So I'm going to leave it all to them.
Some guys go get a watch. Some dudes buy a pickup. Some throw it in the bank. When that professional contract is signed, is there a big purchase, or how are you going to go that route? Are you going to buy some hunting gear? I mean, have you thought about spending what you're going to get for a signing bonus?
Yeah, I plan on spending a lot, and I'm going to plan on spending it on some growth stocks and some index funds.
Look at you, investments, man.
Yeah, and I had a roommate, Lane McCallum, that is now a financial advisor. He I was a pretty bad spender my first couple years in college, just buying Xboxes and TVs and speakers that I don't need. And he's like, dude, why don't you just invest it? And he talked me into it and showed me all the different charts of you can be a millionaire in 25 years if you do this and this and this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I finally started. And I'm glad I did, because, man, I don't make those stupid impulse purchases anymore. And I just start investing stuff. And I'm building good habits for when I do hopefully make a contract someday.
Did you sign up for the free T-shirt on campus, Austin, for the credit card?
No, I did not.
Good, because some of us did 100 years ago. Austin Allen. Austin, best of luck to you, man. And just last thought on Jeremiah Searles and some of his guidance with you and how that has gone for you.
Yeah, I think I picked a great agency. Jeremiah Searles being one of my agents, he when it came down to picking an agent or an agency, I wanted somebody who's going to fight for me and know me as a football player. And I thought there's nobody better than Jeremiah Searles, who's on the sideline every game. He's there watching me at my every single play. So if I want somebody that's going to vouch for me for these teams, in front of these GMs, I want somebody who knows me as a football player. Nobody better than Jeremiah Searles, who's played the game, who's been in my shoes, who's going to be in my shoes a year from now. You know, like it was a good, easy choice for me. I mean, they got a great group of guys, and Zach Center, that might ring a bell, with South Dakota State and went to the Lions, and he's got a great nutrition and supplemental background, and so he takes care of that side of things. And then Chris Giddings is kind of the main guy. He's had 23 years of experience. He was Danny Woodhead's agent. He's been around the block. A lot of guys know him and respect him, so he's kind of the brains of the guru. So I think I got a good trio of guys that are going to fight for me and do good things for me.
Best of luck, and that's a good team, and we'll be rooting for you here next week, Austin, and thanks for the time as always.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Pardon the interruption, but I'd like to save you some money. I'm Brandon Vogel, managing editor of Hail Varsity, and I wanted to offer listeners of this podcast $10 off the price of an annual subscription. That means that you, for less than $20, can get everything we produce, 10 issues of our monthly magazine, our annual football yearbook, and all of the premium content we produce at hailvarsity.com. Just go to hailvarsity.com/subscribe and enter the promo code GBR for $10 off a full year of Hail Varsity. That's hailvarsity.com/subscribe, promo code GBR.
Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com.
Just try me.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Well, update from freshman baseball as Southwest and Elijah Herbel's Lincoln Southeast Knights are tangling at Silverhawk Field. Depending on where you went, 1-0 good guys. Southwest leading. I know that was a bubble thought to many of you. Numbers to get in, 466-377-6800, 825-5865. Casey Rogers, the top story today. And reaction. Open phones for about 15 minutes or can email Chris@HailVarsity.com. You say what to this news? He's in the portal. And we've kind of gone multiple choice. A, does he stay in the portal? B, why did he go to the portal? And C, can Nebraska, if he is gone for good, can Nebraska fill that gap, fill that void with what's on the roster or go portal shopping? And you look at Garrett Nelson and O'Shawn Mathis. One is here. One has really upped his game off the edge. And there's been more of a intent by Nebraska to have Garrett be that guy with his hand in the dirt off the edge. I know we were talking on the interior about Casey Rogers. That's where we've seen him line up. But he is a defensive end. And Nebraska, from a front, is looking to do more even stuff, or they've been a team that's done more even stuff and in limited snaps. And in 21, make it 19 career games, he started one. Casey Rogers has been an impact guy. He's been a really solid role guy when healthy to come in, give you a few tackles, make a TFL or two. And I'm not making him out to be Neil Smith or Jason Peter, or Sue. I'm not saying that. But what we've seen of Casey Rogers has been good. It's been pleasant. It's been impactful for the Nebraska defensive front in a rugged and ruthless league on the line of scrimmage. You have Ty Robinson and who else? And not only is this a big blow because There has been experience. There has been proof in his performance when he's been healthy to do so. But he's also a guy that is not afraid to talk, and he's not talking out of turn. He's not a loud, boisterous defensive lineman that's not backed up performance. He's played well enough on the football field to have earned plenty of respect in that defensive line room.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks he was going to be a first-team All-Big Ten guy this season. That would have been high expectations for him. But he was going to be a crucial piece of this defense. And as we talked about a little bit back in hour one, the Big Ten is the run-dominant league of college football, and the Big Ten West especially. And I know Nebraska's returning two great linebackers in Nick Henrich and Luke Reimer, but those guys, I mean, last year they really had their work cut out for them based on what the defensive line was doing for them, eating up blocks, keeping the line of scrimmage at the line of scrimmage, not letting the offense line push them back. It gave those linebackers room to operate, and while I still feel good about those guys, they're not going to have the same type of dudes in front of them. Really, it's just Ty Robinson and then a lot of inexperienced guys now with the news that Casey Rogers has entered the transfer portal. Casey Rogers was going to be one of those guys that you could rely on. You could count on him that next season, yeah, he may not be outstanding. He may not make those wow flash plays that you see some of the Husker greats doing. But he was going to be good enough that he was going to be able to eat up blocks. He was going to make some tackles, and the biggest part of his game was he was going to free up the other guys in the defense to do what they do best. And now you sit back and you look at that defense line and you wonder who's going to be the guy that's going to step up and fill the shoes of Casey Rogers. Who's going to be that guy that's going to give you solid snaps, both in the running game and in the pass game?
Do you have one? You have bodies, but you have 9 scholarship defensive linemen. And are they ready? You can't fast track readiness or experience. You got a minimal in Nash, and he's the guy. And Babbers is right. He's a guy that could and may step up, but he does. This will be, if he wins the job, his first season starting. That's a lot of baptism by fire. The guy that I think you can emerge that could take that step into, like, dude. He's good now, but dude and difference maker, that when you see the opening graphics of your starting defensive line and you think through the years of Husker football, what'd they do, man? They'd always highlight Peter and Wistrom, or they'd highlight Steve Warren, or they'd highlight Kyle Vanden Bosch, or they'd highlight Jared Tomich. I mean, watch out for these two, keys to victory. Well, big game from the Nebraska defensive line. And Nebraska, when they're good, they've always got a guy or two on that defensive line that is highlighted, that the color analyst spends about 35 seconds on before kickoff. Robinson has gotten a lot of development this offseason, and he started quite a number of games, but it was him and Rogers that were your returning starts. So this is brutal. And let's go to a third issue with losing him. Optics. Looks really bad. Looks bad that a guy that your new position coach recruited, and this isn't anything on Dawson, I'm just saying he's the guy who recruited him. The guy that developed him is now at Oregon in Tuioti. You have injury history on top of that. And the perception is Casey Rogers is a good football player in a position of need that's already thin, and now you're losing an experienced guy on a defense that played well, but when push comes to shove is average. You look at statistically, they're average. They go from average to really good when you flip on the Michigan State film, when they're getting turnovers in that back seven. That turns this defense from average to good. So when they're forcing some turnovers, and it's clear that Rogers is a guy, too, that can get after or has put some pressure when healthy on opposing quarterbacks. And that is another element of this defense that needs to really jump. Maybe you have an offense that is going to take care of the football, Elijah. much better. Maybe you have an offense that can run the football much better, not only burn clock, but body blow opposing defenses. Maybe you have better quarterback play with some of that controlled passing. Maybe you have a better running game where you can just hit some home runs or turn 3 to 4 yard carries in quarter one into 7 to 8 to 20 yard gashes in the fourth quarter. Maybe the offense carries some water like the defense did last year. But what you don't know because it's so new with a new offensive system, with a new offensive coordinator, with a new offensive line coach and running backs coach and quarterback coach, and now you lose a known quantity on that defensive line. At least the glimpses we saw, we were impressed with.
Yeah, and where my mind goes is that if Nebraska doesn't get a like-for-like type of replacement for Casey Rogers, I mean, I think there's some writing on the wall that Nebraska's got a good shot at O'Shawn Mathis, but that's not a replacement guy for Casey Rogers. So I wonder, is Nebraska, if there isn't any replacement, are they going to have to change up some things schematically, defensively, to try to hide the fact that they really don't have an experienced guy that can come in and replace Casey Rogers? Do they go more... I mean, you can't flip your whole scheme and go from a 3-4 to a 4-3. That would work a little bit better with the personnel, you would think, with two guys in Nash Hutmacher and Jalen Weaver that are potentially able to step in and
the body
play nose
types
guard.
say that they're good to plug the run.
Yeah, and then with Ty Robinson, I mean, do you have to change some things schematically in order to hide this point? I mean, there's always the chance that Nebraska can get some transfers in, but right now I don't see guys in that room that can step up and make this defense work the way it would have worked with Casey Rogers playing that defensive line.
He had been in the system long enough to be a comfort. Now, did you get as many snaps from him as you wanted? No. You had to do a contingency, at least this season, and he really, during the COVID season, all bets are off. That was just a year where you lost developmental time, clearly, with spring going goodbye, but at least you got game time for guys like Rogers and Robinson, and you didn't burn a year. So Nebraska has got their work cut out for them in the portal. Nebraska's got their work. They had it cut out for them anyway when it comes to development with age. Now, the key is to not... who's next, right? May 1st looms because that's when you're going to have portal. And it's going to be difficult because my take is you're not going to go get a fifth-year senior or a fourth-year junior or a fourth-year COVID guy in a lot of instances to come transfer in. The guys that are going to be leaving here after this spring are guys that have maybe been in a program a year or two, and they have some football on them, but from an experience standpoint, I'd be surprised if this loss of a projected starter is earth-shaking for Nebraska, and I don't know how many other programs, while they may lose significant numbers, how many projected starters are going to be walking May 1st after spring football. And listen, you had exit interviews. Maybe this is just a snap issue. Maybe the reality is Nebraska knows something we don't when it comes to portal, who's coming in. Maybe that's Mathis. Maybe that's somebody else.
And maybe they know something we don't in terms of the guys that we don't think are ready yet. Some of those guys that are inexperienced. Maybe they know something about those guys that we don't.
They may know something we don't portal-wise on who's in. Mm. And if that's the case, okay, your snaps are going to be limited. Your injury history is what it is. And you missed a lot of time. God love you for bust. I mean, the guy missed time early, came back, gave his heart and soul, and then got dinged again towards the end of the season, so much so that he missed spring. But he was there trying to stay engaged. So tough day for Nebraska, but they'll forge forward and try and be ready to go come Ireland. We'll spend some time, and we'll really hammer this tomorrow, but more thoughts on what this season opener means to the team and what it means to the fan base. And we've already been on record as saying this is your, since it is in Ireland, this is your mulligan off the tee box for last season to get off on the right foot. Quick timeout. Hail Varsity continues on. We're presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Like what you hear, high-quality radio and podcast is part of what we do at Hail Varsity. Hey, it's Chris Schmidt with Hail Varsity Radio, and I wanted to offer listeners of the Hail Varsity Radio Show podcast $10 off the price of an annual subscription. That means that you, for less than $20, can get everything we produce, 10 issues of our monthly magazine, our annual football yearbook, and all the premium content we produce at HailVarsity.com. Just go to HailVarsity.com/subscribe and enter in the promo code GBR for $10 off a full year of Hail Varsity. That's HailVarsity.com/subscribe, promo code GBR.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Back into it, it's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Time for a Jock Doc Wednesday, Nebraska Orthopedic Center. Dr. Brandon Seifert is with us. Dr. Brandon, you feeling the NBA Finals, man? You've been locked in. How you doing?
And they're rolling, absolutely. You know, I had to take a few days after the NCAA tournament, but you bet, get dialed in. How about yourself?
I'm good. Devin Booker is incredible to watch, even with the old fist bump to the little one last night. Now, they got nipped by the Pelicans, and momentum shifted with Devin Booker's injury. We've got a right hamstring strain, that soft tissue, Dr. Brandon, and what can be done here aside from time and rest? Let's dive into the hamstring pull.
Yeah, you bet. They can be pesky. It's sometimes hard to predict when you can kind of return to play after these things. Could be as soon as 3 to 4 weeks. Could be anywhere up to maybe 6 or 8 weeks after. Let's kind of dive in a little bit just in terms of the anatomy part. So thinking about the hamstring, obviously on the back of the thigh, there's several different, hamstring groups, if you will. And for us, the biggest thing trying to figure out is, where exactly along the hamstring is the tear at. That really kind of determines kind of your prognosis and ultimately your treatment. The vast majority of these tears occur kind of right in the middle of the muscle, so kind of right in the middle of the thigh and the back. It could be more kind of in the muscle belly part. And those almost always are non-operative. And again, where the most commonly that's where they occur. Where they become more worrisome is if you travel further up the thigh and where they basically attach onto the pelvis in an area called the ischial tuberosity. It's where those kind of 3-4 main tendons really attach. If you start to have tearing up there, or one of those big tendons actually pulls off the bone, that puts you more in that surgical category and obviously a much longer, more difficult kind of recovery pathway from that perspective.
Dr. Brandon Seifert's with us, Lincoln Orthopedic Center at Jock Doc Wednesday, Nebraska Orthopedic Center. And you mentioned that difference between a strain, a pull, and then a tear. And it sounds like Booker's going to be out games 3 and 4 for the Suns. Is that preventative? Is that pretty normal time frame? Or reading into this, do you fear it may be more towards the worst case scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. Just kind of based on what they're telling us, game 3, 4, sounds like it's probably more one that's more kind of in the middle, more in that muscular belly. Tends to be a little quicker recovery. Obviously, that sprain, that tear, that partial injury to the hamstring, it kind of has different grades to it. Of course, there's kind of a mild, moderate, severe sprain, strain, tear, if you will. And so kind of looking at his timetable, he's probably somewhere in that mild to moderate kind of grade area. I think that's a reasonable time frame, probably more kind of on the average time frame of return. The big issue with these in terms of, what's kind of that magic number when you can let these people go back and compete. Obviously, the first thing is you have to have full range of motion back in the knee and the hip. Second thing you want to have happen is that confidence piece, feeling confident you can cut. And then obviously that kind of game level playing where you feel like you can be effective on the floor, more effective than, say, somebody coming off the bench off a decision they'll have to make. From a kind of number perspective, the number we kind of look for is we want that hamstring strength to be back to about 80 or 90% of its original strength. or at least what the hamstring is on the other side. That's kind of a good gauge of where you're at in your recovery process.
Dr. Brandon, it is a fickle muscle where you think you're good or you rush back, you can re-injure. And hamstring's got to be up there with probably top 2 or 3 lingering concerns, because you can do everything right and it can go south on you again quick, can it?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. It's kind of the dreaded retweak kind of muscle, kind of like a calf strain. Pretty easy to kind of retweak this in those kind of early days of recovering. And then obviously that can set you back, a variety of time frames. Usually it's just kind of a little short term, then you get back, but you kind of keep having these retweak events. And unfortunately, he'll probably struggle with that a little bit during the playoffs, obviously depending on how deep they go. Until you kind of get that nice long rest period for this, that retweak possibility is definitely a big thing to worry about. Eventually these do heal well, but you always are at a little bit of an increased risk of kind of having a re-injury in this area. The tissue that basically heals back in that area, the majority of it's really good tissue, but some of it's still some scar tissue. And so it just makes you more prone to kind of having a retweak in the area in the future. And again, that can be, from a variety of different types of severity of grades.
Dr. Brandon Seiferd's with us, Nebraska Orthopedic Center at Jock Doc Wednesday. We are talking about Devin Booker, his hamstring. What type of treatment typically does the hamstring respond best to? Is it heat? Is it ice? Is it ibuprofen? I know all are probably used, but in your experience, what is the go-to? Is there a magic method, so to say?
Yeah, when you look at these things, kind of early treatment back in the day, it was all about, kind of rest, get on some crutches, take it easy, let's not really do much activities on this. Obviously, things have shifted significantly since that time frame. Now it's kind of aggressive therapy early on. At least from a range of motion perspective, we really want to work on hip range of motion, knee range of motion, getting into a rehab program, therapy program where they can put some stimulation, they can kind of stimulate those muscles to start firing just kind of on a light basis and kind of gradually work up the intensity on that. That's really important, try to retrain that muscle to get it going. And then also the flexibility piece is really huge. You want to start working on flexibility right away. From a modality perspective, the ice, the heat, the massage, those kinds of things. Early on, icing is kind of the big key. You want to be careful about putting a lot of heat on this early on just because that'll draw more kind of swelling, more bleeding to the area. Better to put ice on it, kind of help cut down on some of the bleeding that occurs just obviously from tearing that muscle. So ice kind of early on. Once you kind of get the majority of that swelling, bruising out of there, then you start to shift to more of kind of a heating program where put the heat on it before, kind of warm it up, do your rehab exercise, then you get it back onto an ice, kind of after you work it out to cut down on that inflammation. Anti-inflammatories, I think definitely very reasonable. Utilizing some ibuprofen, Aleve, those types are helpful. Those are also helpful in the sense of some athletes, when they have these significant injuries here, can develop some pretty significant scar tissue, or even perhaps there's a thing called heterotopic ossification, where you basically start to form bone in areas where you're not supposed to, so you start to form some bone and muscle. Not super common with hamstring injuries, but can happen, and taking an anti-inflammatory can help kind of prevent some of those things, not fully, but definitely helps. So that's another good reason to utilize them, especially early on.
Well, the Suns without Booker are 8-6. One of those losses in the second half last night where Booker, in 25 minutes went off 31.7 threes. And he has been incredible for Phoenix, as, again, they are the 1 seed. They're trying to claim the title this year. He needs to be back. He needs to be healthy. And we'll see if that can happen. And you know what? New Orleans, even without Zion, they are coming full force at Phoenix. We'll see how the playoffs shake out. Dr. Brandon Seiferd with us, Nebraska Orthopedic Center, a Jock Doc Wednesday. Dr. Brandon, we'll get caught up soon. Thanks for a few minutes today.
Okay, thanks, buddy. You guys take care.
Like what you hear? High-quality radio and podcasts are just part of what we do at Hail Varsity. I'm Brandon Vogel, managing editor, and I wanted to offer listeners of the Hail Varsity Radio Show podcast $10 off the price of an annual subscription. That means that you, for less than $20, can get everything we do. 10 issues of our monthly magazine, our annual football yearbook, and all of the premium content we produce at HailVarsity.com. Just go to HailVarsity.com/subscribe and enter the promo code GBR for $10 off a full year of Hail Varsity. That's HailVarsity.com/subscribe, promo code GBR.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at HailVarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you one final time this hour. Get the podcast, subscribe to us, Hail Varsity Radio, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Subscribe and give us a review. Love hearing your feedback. Appreciate you doing so. Incredible sit down with Austin Allen. Cheering hard for him, man, to have a really good NFL draft experience, and pretty big time to hear from him. Casey Rogers on our mind. Tomorrow on the show, we'll spend time with Brandon Vogel. Danny Burke will spend time with us. Just got the RSVP from Coach Osborne.
Oh, wow.
So T.O. will join us as we'll look ahead. May around the corner. We talked May for portal purposes. We're talking May for baseball. Well, May is also when you'll get a chance to watch Day by Day. As that release happens, the Nebraska football documentary, and it is going to be an incredible honor to spend time with the best, Coach Osborne, with us tomorrow.
And they've spent years getting footage for that day-by-day documentary. I'm really excited to see what they've put together.
The promo for it that aired at the spring game was incredible. We did an event with the good folks putting Day by Day together. This was out in Boulder in 2019. And it's been a long process. You've had COVID flat in the middle of it. So we will talk to Coach Osborne tomorrow. Gary Barnett also going to spend some time with us. Get his reaction. Earlier in the week, you had the athletic story about Colorado falling on hard times. We'll also look at just what Ireland and Northwestern means for the Big Red in 2022. Really good mailbag with HailVarsity.com. So get the podcast and check us out. Be sure to find the interviews. You want to just do that, it's all good. Mike Babcock, Mike Schuhard, and Austin Allen, ESPNLincoln.com. How you feel about your Nuggets?
Oh, don't ask me about my Nuggets.
Are you? The better question is, are you heading down to Snoop Dogg tonight?
I'm not.
That's how we're going to lead off tomorrow's interview with Coach Osborne. How was Snoop?
Are you going to Snoop?
No, dude. I got to go watch my kid play baseball.
Oh, good point. Good point. And I'm not going to Snoop. I didn't get my hands on any tickets, so I might be going to the bowling alley tonight. I guess we'll see.
All right.
No plans for tonight. As for
you want to really get crazy, go to the Snoop show and then head to the bowling alley and ask for 48 cheeseburgers.
No, let's see. For the Nuggets, though, it's like Jordan Poole can't miss. Steph Curry's dropping 30 points off the bench. They still have Klay Thompson in the starting lineup, and the Nuggets have Nikola Jokic and nobody else. So I'd be happy with one win. If we can get one win in this series, I'll change my tune-up from Monday. Monday was, let's go even this series. Let's get it even going back to Denver. Now it's, Christ, can we stop losing by 25 every single game? Just keep it respectable, win a game, give them a battle.
I'll tell you what, Golden State gets in modes. They get in rhythm. They can't miss. They are beautiful to watch, even if you're rooting against them for big-time spurts. And Steph off the bench, for him to go off, that isn't fair.
Yeah, now, I mean, I'll root for Golden State over the Suns. I'm not a Suns guy.
That's your NBA Finals, man.
Well, like I'm still rooting for my Nuggets to do something
Giannis
miraculous
too, but I don't know.
I'll tell you what, this would be a different series if the Nuggets had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. I'll just say that.
Big time. Talk to you tomorrow at 4 with Hail Varsity. Thanks.
A Hurrdat Media Production.